to Offensive, the Bo Nix of podcasts, where you suffer through 3 quarters and then you're disappointed in the 4th.
But we come out with the dub. But
somehow we come out with a dub.
Don't know how. Don't deserve it.
I don't know how it works, but somehow it feels like we get the dub every time.
Every time.
We're at the halfway point now of the season officially. Slice it like a cake right in half. Boom. Where maybe we have some kind of grasp on like who's good and what's happening, and then we have trades happening. It's just like a smorgasbord. It's like a meat platter. It's like going to a tailgate and having so many delicious foods, and you're like, I don't know what to. I don't know if the food's going to be good or bad. You just don't like. Who knows what's going to happen? But it's going to be exciting, right? And we've got a whole playoff picture to talk about. We're going to bring up and talk about these playoffs. Neckbeard and Chief, are you guys excited for these playoffs coming up this year? Like, what's going to happen, man?
I mean, the thing about the NFL this year is like nobody knows who's really good, but it's maybe starting to, week its way out to where we kind of figure out like what the playoff picture is, and it kind of looks similar. But that's what we're going to talk about right now. Do we think this is anywhere close to what the playoffs are going to look like? So I'm going to start with Chief because he's been pounding Indianapolis all year. Mm-hmm. Do you think they're going to finish? Yeah, I said it that way. Do you think they're going to finish in the number 1 seed in AFC? Do you think it's going to happen?
I like the fact that their GM, he's always been slow playing it for the entire 20 years he's been their GM. And now he finally sees, we're at a spot. We got a chance. The AFC, it's weak. It's vulnerable. We got a shot right now. Not all the teams are as dominant. Let's throw out 2 first. Let's get Sauce Gardner, bring him in. So we have an airtight secondary. Their defensive line has been doing really good at getting pressures. I think they have a legit shot at going number 1. And I agree with Chris Ballard. I think that they do have a shot to maybe make it to be playing in February. I love the call.
I honestly would tell you that if they didn't, I'm not necessarily a guy who thinks that like in the NFL trading for a guy is going to change everything. Like even with Micah Parsons, right? Who's been very good for us, but I don't know if that elevated us to like Super Bowl contenders. I got to say with the Colts, they had one weakness and it was their second cornerback, right? Like every other part of their defense and every other part of their team seemed to be clicking or humming at least, except for that second corner. And they just took a weakness and made it a strength and got a top 3 cornerback. Like, I think that's absolutely worth 2 first-round picks, especially since Indianapolis has been kind of in this, like, trying to be good phase for, like, 5-6 years, it seems like, since Andrew Luck retired. They got a chance now. I like it. Have some balls. Go for it. Why not? I actually love the trade, and I think it actually gives them a legitimate chance to stay in that 1 seed, right? I mean, Buffalo could come for them at some point. Maybe Denver, because Denver's right there. But the way Denver's winning, they're got to lose at some point, right? And they got 2 games against Kansas City. You figure they'll probably split those at the very least.
I feel like Denver is this year's version of the Vikings, where like they win like almost every game, but no one really thinks they're actually going to like make it deep.
No one's scared. No one's scared of Denver in the playoffs because they're just not that great. But they're finding ways to win, which is impressive. Don't get me wrong. But, man, that game last night was awful. Okay, so I'll agree with Dave. I think Indianapolis finishes at the 1 seed. Hype, what do you think? Because Indy's playing an international game this week, which is always tough.
I feel, that tingliness you get, like, when you're not sure, like, maybe you're at, like, the craps table gambling or something. Like Jim Irsay, like, he was, like, a big-time gambler, like take a chance type guy. He hung out with Hunter S. Thompson all the time, like, just a fun, crazy guy. Now his daughter, the GM calls her up, and he's like, hey, what do you think about sending 2 firsts, for this cornerback, Sauce Gardner? And she's like, why haven't you done it already? Do it. She's like, basically like, let's go. And like that kind of like headstrong mentality of like, we're not used to that from owners. Usually people are very hesitant to make big moves. And so this is kind of a new thing a little bit right here, which is kind of awesome and fun. And I'm not sure that who knows if it's going to result in good in what you want. But as a non-Colts fan, this is super awesome. And I hope it just completely throws a monkey wrench in the AFC and the Colts end up like going to the AFC championship game. I think it'd be really cool. And I do think Sauce Gardner is really good, even though they said he took a step back in his second season in this season, that he's not quite as good as people think. But he's still rated the number 1 for separation at cornerback in the NFL as far as coverage, as like staying close to his guy. So Like even if he's not like the perfect best version of Sauce Gardner, he still might be the best cornerback in the league.
He's
Well,
up
yeah,
there.
yeah, he doesn't need to be perfect again because they're getting that pass rush, that defensive line. They're getting the push up there. And the story that I loved hearing is from a Jets podcaster out there, where he said that the Jets, they weren't looking to get rid of Sauce. That wasn't even on their
Right.
radar.
They didn't want to get
But
rid of
the
him.
Colts kept saying, they said, all right, how about a first? No, that's not enough. Okay, how about two? How about a first and a second? No, we can't do that. Okay, how about 2 firsts? What? Okay, how about 2 firsts? And we also give you our second round draft pick, wide receiver, which you guys need from just 2 years ago.
Yeah.
So they just kept hammering and hammering and hammering. They weren't going to take no for an answer. You don't hear about that kind of aggression. I absolutely love it. It's refreshing. It's not, that's just in, let's all the chips in, let's go.
Do you guys remember a guy named Brett Favre they traded a first-round draft pick for, and everyone's like, who the hell is Brett Favre?
Yep.
Like, why would you give a first-round draft pick to Brett Favre? Sometimes, I mean, it's obviously a different position, but sometimes you just got to pull the trigger and do it.
I thought we gave him a second for Brett Favre.
No, it was a first-rounder.
Was it a first rounder?
And that's why people were kind of like, "What the hell? Like, why would you do it for this guy?" But Brett was a second rounder. He was taken right at the end of the first round, beginning of the second.
Yeah, he was like the second or third pick of the second round, and then we traded the first round for him. Yep, that's what it was. Okay, so let's talk about the next team, the Patriots. So the Patriots right now have the edge over the Buffalo Bills, so they're in the number 2 spot. And let me just tell you guys the Patriots' upcoming schedule. Okay. So they've got the Buccaneers this week, which might be a little tough. They're in Tampa Bay. Then they got the Jets, the Bengals, the Giants. Then they play the Bills, who they already beat once, the Ravens, the Jets, and the Dolphins. So the Patriots really, to me, only have 3 hard games left on their schedule. The rest of those seem very winnable. And, you know, Buffalo obviously has to win that game, right? But I have this weird feeling that like the Patriots might actually end up winning that division, even if Buffalo beats them. So Buffalo has the Dolphins, the Buccaneers, the Texans, the Steelers, the Bengals, the Patriots, like I said, the Browns, then the Eagles, then the Jets. So not much harder, I would say, but a little bit harder than the Patriots schedule. So what do we think? Do we think Buffalo overtakes them by the end of the year and jumps into that 2 seed, or do we think New England stays steady at number 2 there?
I think New England stays in number 2, but I think Buffalo is really good and better than we actually give them credit for, because we've seen games where they haven't been good at this or that or whatever. But I think by the end of the season, Buffalo is just going to start winning games and start being good at it. And they are going to be they'll be considered a favorite and better than the Patriots, but they're not going to pass them in the rankings. So when it comes to the playoff systems, and who knows when they meet again, if they play in the playoffs, that it'll be a crazy awesome game. Like, the Patriots could beat them because they're just so like well put together right now. But like I have a hard time thinking that, you know, the Buffalo Bills are gonna get taken out of the playoffs by them.
I honestly think even with the Eagles on their schedule, Buffalo has a decent chance to win out because their defense is starting to play football now. Mm-hmm. They're the best rushing football. They're the best rushing offense in the league. When you can play defense and you can rush the ball, all you need is a decent quarterback to win games, and they got freaking Josh Allen. Right. So, like, I think Buffalo is going to go on a tear. If their defense continues to play this way, I think they're going to go on a tear, and I think they're actually more of a threat to Indianapolis at the 1 seed than the Patriots are, because I could see the Buffalo Bills winning, like maybe losing 1 game the rest of the year. I could definitely see that happening with Buffalo. I don't know if I can see the Patriots just losing 1 game and being able to keep ahead of the Buffalo Bills. That's kind of how I feel. So I
kind of think New England is like their like kryptonite though. Like Buffalo could look like the best team in the country, and New England could find a way to beat them just because it's an divisional game. And they're really tough.
That's possible. So I think that's going to be tight though. I think 1 game is going to separate them, but I'm going to take the Bills there. All right.
I think Maxwell Hairston is going to be the difference maker.
She's really
good. They finally have a man cornerback in Buffalo. They like to run all of the, zone coverage, which is where, the elite quarterbacks can pick you apart. But now that he's kind of healthy, it's added it's helped their defense quite a bit.
Yeah, he's made a big difference. And I like him too. I wanted the Packers to pick him up in the draft, actually.
We were yelling during the draft that we wanted them to take him so bad or trade up for him or whatever, one of the cornerbacks in that area. And now he just looks amazing.
He does. Would have been nice. All right, so let's go to the number 3 seed, Denver. I mean, they keep winning. Do they keep it up?
No, they're the Vikings of last year. Move on.
They keep it up. All right, and to finish off the AFC, because 6-7, I don't know if Jacksonville's going to keep it. Do we think the Chiefs end up taking over one of these seeds? Right?
Yeah.
Do we think the Chiefs do? So who falls out? Is it Pittsburgh and they get replaced by the Ravens? And let's say Pittsburgh gets replaced by the Ravens, okay? And then do we lose Jacksonville or the Chargers? Who do you think holds on?
Jacksonville has the tiebreaker with the Chiefs.
They do.
They beat them heads up. So I think that could be really interesting.
I honestly think the Chiefs are going to win more games than Jacksonville going forward. So that to me, it's like who loses the most games, the Chargers or Jacksonville? Because I feel like the Chiefs are going to sneak in there at like the 5th or 6th seed, right? So, and then, so let's say this is how I see it. So Indianapolis, Buffalo, right? Then the Denver, I think, wins the division. Okay. And then I think the Ravens win their division. So there's your top 4. Okay. Then you got New England. And then after that, I would say the Chiefs. So that's 6. And then the final seed would either be the Chargers or the Jags for me. And I think the Jags, and we'll get into this more later with the trades because the Chargers made a trade too, but I think the Jags did a good job addressing a need. And I think Jacksonville might sneak into the playoffs this year as a 7th seed. So I think they might stick onto that spot.
The Chiefs' schedule is kind of easy from here on out. And the Jaguars is too, but they play the Colts twice.
Right. But that's going to be the kicker.
But they also get the Titans twice and the Jets.
Right. So they still have an overall easy schedule.
I actually know the Cards, but by then Kyler's still going to be on IR. So they should lose that one.
And those divisional games, Jacksonville, Indianapolis, there's a chance. I mean, there's a good chance they go 1-1 in those games. So yeah, I could see it. But the Chiefs' schedule gets much easier now, at least for a little while. They still have to play the Broncos twice, right? Yeah. And they still have to play the Chargers again.
And they play the Colts too.
And they play the Colts. So it's not super easy, but it is the Chiefs. They're going to win some games. So
actually, that does make it harder than I think. So Jacksonville could end up having a better record.
I think Jacksonville's going to find a way to sneak in. I think it's going to happen.
New receiver.
I don't see a world where the Chiefs don't make the playoffs, but that would be pretty epic. Just saying, that would be pretty epic.
That would be really fun.
It's possible.
Yeah. All right, we talked a lot about the AFC. Let's go to the NFC. We got the Eagles who are playing the Packers this week, right? So let's talk about this. LA's at 5, San Francisco's at 6, and Seattle's at 3. So 3 teams from the West, pretty much all with the same record, right? Mm-hmm. I think those 3 teams are a lock to make the playoffs. Do you guys have any disagreements there? Rams, Seahawks, and 49ers are all a lock to make the playoffs?
Agreed.
Okay.
I think so. The only thing is that the 49ers could fall off. They just keep having injuries and backup quarterbacks. So that could happen, I think.
It's possible.
I also kind of think that San Francisco is kind of like, well, if we needed to, we could force guys back in and make them play. But right now we don't need to because our backups are doing good enough. We're coached good enough to where I think they're like, we're just going to wait until the month before the playoffs and then we're going to get dialed in.
They play the Colts and the Seahawks. Those are the only really tough teams they have left on.
Yeah, they don't have they have remember one of the easiest
4th place schedule. Yeah,
right now that's when the Colts were crappy too. But but it's not that hard. So I'm pretty confident those 3 teams are going to make it. Now we've got Detroit and Green Bay. I'm pretty confident those 2 will make it. Maybe Detroit wins the division and Green Bay drops down to 6 or 7. I could definitely see that. I think we're all pretty confident Tampa Bay is going to win their division, right? Yeah. So, and we all are pretty confident that Philadelphia is going to win their division. So, like the NFC, does this actually seem like a very plausible playoff picture for the NFC? So, because we're missing the Falcons, right? Obviously, we're missing. Hey, the Panthers. Don't hate on the Panthers, guys. Come on. Mm-hmm. We're missing the Bears, Dave. I mean, the Bears.
we said the first half would be great. We get one more cupcake, and then it starts to get hard, and then we get the Browns.
And does anybody think the Vikings have a shot after one game of JJ McCarthy not sucking? Anybody think the Vikings have a real shot?
He still hasn't thrown for 160 yards yet in 3 games. You, Justin
That's all
Jefferson
I'm saying.
owners. My condolences.
Schedule's kind of easy-ish, but they do play the Packers twice.
The Vikings,
right.
And they play Seattle, the Commanders, Cowboys. I mean, Giants. Like their schedule's not terribly hard. It depends on how good the Green Bay Packers playing.
Yeah.
I guess.
Now, I know the Cowboys just got punked up by the Cardinals, but I think the Cardinals are highly underrated. If you look at the Cardinals, they've had a lead in every single team they've played against this year. So the Cardinals are not as easy as people think. And I think Dallas is going to give the Vikings problems because they can throw the ball deep. And we know the Vikings can't handle that.
That's true.
So, yeah. But I'd say my Carolina Panthers have a small outside chance to sneak in at the 7th seed. They're 5-4, guys. You know, this is not the Panthers team of last year. So there's a small outside chance. And they obviously have an easy schedule because A, they're in the South, and B, they were terrible. So
kind of, but they play the Rams, Buccaneers, Seahawks, and Buccaneers again.
Oh, they played the Buccaneers
and Niners.
How could the Panthers play the Buccaneers twice? What are you talking about?
Wait, sorry, they just played once. They played sorry, I was the 49ers.
Okay, I was like, wait, that does not sound like
no, but they have they have the Niners, the Rams, the Bucks, and the Seahawks left on the schedule. So it's not super easy.
They play the Bucks twice in the last 3 games.
Yeah, Falcons, Saints, Bucks twice. Now I think they're gonna take one of those games. And dude, 49ers. They could beat the 49ers. I don't think they can beat the Rams. I don't think they can beat the Seahawks. But again, they don't have to win every game. They'd have to win at least 4 games and get 9 wins. And then either Green Bay or Detroit needs to fall off, or potentially San Francisco, like if they fall off, right? Then it's possible for them to get in. But yeah, I don't see the Panthers getting more than 9 wins. And I think 9 wins might not be enough to make this NFC playoff. I think you might have to have 10 to get into the NFC playoffs. So they might finish 8th, and
there's going to be a lot of upsets still. This season's full of upsets.
There's going to be a lot of upsets. Dude, okay, so let's talk about that. Philadelphia is in a terrible division, right? They're going to run away with their division, but their schedule is not that easy. And I don't know if they're going to hold on to this 1 seed, guys. So here's the Eagles' remaining schedule, okay? So they're at Green Bay Monday, as we know. We'll talk about that later. Then they have the Lions. Then they have the Cowboys, which seems easy, but it's a division game. Then they have the Bears, which seems easy, but the Bears are playing well. Then they have the Chargers, which seems like they should beat them, but I feel like the Chargers might have a chance. They have the Raiders, no chance. Commanders, no chance. But then Bills and Commanders again. So I don't think this is an Eagles team that's going to end up 14-3. Right? No. I think this is an Eagles team that's going to lose at least 2 more of those games, maybe even 3 more of those games. I could see the Eagles losing with the whole AJ Brown situation, and they just don't feel as good as last year. And
their offensive line is not elite anymore. It's good, but it's not elite. And you see, if you can blitz them and take advantage of their offensive line, like they're very beatable.
No, dude, I have a sneaky, gross suspicion that the Seahawks or the Rams could get the 1 seed. I think whichever one of those teams, because the AFC West is going to kind of beat each other up, we all know. But I feel like one team is going to find its way ahead of the pack and finish like 13-4. And I feel like there might be 2 13-4 or 3 13-4 teams this year. I think that's possible. And so I think the Seahawks might sneak up in there, or the Rams. So
there are some people that think the Seahawks are the best team in the NFL right now.
I mean, they look pretty dang good, don't they?
Like thinking that they're going to become the 1 seed, basically, you know?
Yep. Well, I just want to remind everybody that Dave called the Colts being good, and I called the Seahawks being good, and Doug called the Raiders being good. So.
Look, they almost beat Bo Nix, the All-American Bo Nix last night, all right?
I'm sorry. I just
the refs kept throwing flags. The refs were just busy throwing flags, and they just like Geno, where you can't let him win.
I'm sorry. I just had to bring that up because I was like, dude, the Raiders. Okay.
The Vaughn Broncos defense, Geno Smith was like, I'll take them down.
I mean, the Raiders have been in games. They should have won the Bears game. They were actually doing pretty well in there's one other game they
should have actually kind of won the game, but Geno got hurt and everything, and backup came in, so whatever.
It is what it is. All right, so the NFC playoff picture, we're pretty confident that we're looking at the teams that are going to make it, but we're also pretty confident that these are nowhere close to how it's going to finish, and the standings are going to be completely different. So